Okay, guys, well, we'll go ahead and get started. So I just want to say welcome to the first of three workshops that we're doing this weekend. It's really interesting we came how we came to this because we were starting to pull ideas together for our next Zoom workshop in our virtual series. And as we got to talking about it and everything, um, we were like, wow, we need more than one. This is just because it affects us so much right now. And there's so many aspects to this topic that there was just no way we were going to be able to cover it all in one sitting. And I really felt like, I think we all really felt like, this one in particular is important because not only does it affect our coaches and directors and the way in which you run your teams, but it also affects our performers. And so I really, really wanted to have, our performer, something special for our performers so that they could get these stories from people or, get advice from people who are living it. And so that's how we ended up with this 3-day summit. So here we are tomorrow. Now, this is one of the things that I have not done in the past, and I want to introduce my squad, and that is the people who we have been working together trying to get this association moving and formalized and just all on the ground working. And it's not the final squad, but it is who we've been working with up to this point. And one of those people is Tiffany Shelton, who is the director of Golden Delight at North Carolina A&T, and she's there over here to my right. I'm not sure where she is with you guys. And then there's Ray Ransom Coleman, who is the director of Mahogany in Motion dance team at Spelman Morehouse. And let me see, I don't think the other ladies have joined yet, but we have Bridget Williams, who's the former coach of the Alabama State University Stingettes. We've got Lauren Henry, who's the current coach of Champaign at South Carolina State University. Badette Spellman, who's the former coach of the Silkettes at Norfolk State University. Help me, Mr. Ernest Hamilton, who's the former director of 14K at Bethune-Cookman University. And let's see, did I miss anybody, Tiffany? Who am I missing? I can't remember. Oh, Catherine Callahan. Catherine Callahan, who is a coach at Tri-Cities High School and also a fitness guru. And so she's not going to be joining us today, but these are the people who have been with me and help and on the ground floor. And like I said, we're not finished bringing people into the fold, but what we want to be able to do is, make sure we're solid and we have everything in place before we actually reveal everything in terms of membership, because this is going to be an association. And so, there is a membership component to it. So we just want to make sure that we have everything ironed out before we roll it out to you guys. Because, with our first conference being shut down by the pandemic, we were just kind of like reeling for a minute. And so now we're picking things up and we're moving on. So I just want you guys to know that. And okay, so let's get started. So today we're going to talk about the impact of social media on our performers. And if it impacts them, it impacts us as well as coaches and directors. I think everyone would agree to that. And so we want to hear the good, the bad, and the ugly. And that's just, we want to hear it all so that everyone here can kind of make their own decisions and decide how social media is going to play into how you run your team, and how the members of your team are going to be required to act, because again, it is so pervasive throughout HBCU dance and HBCU, and it's starting to really pick up with HBCU color guards as well. So we want to kind of be ready. So let me introduce our guest. First is Asia Martin. Now everybody knows that Asia is and I'm going to give them a chance to introduce, kind of introduce themselves. But we have Asia Martin from Alabama State University. She's former captain, and with an incredibly high profile on social media, and she just notified us that she's going to be working at Frederick Douglass High School in Atlanta, Georgia, and so we're all excited about that. I know Ray was particularly excited, so yeah, please welcome Asia Martin.
Hello.
And so we have Marcy Lawson. Marcy is the current captain for the Golden Delight dance line at North Carolina A&T University, and also a very high profile. And from what I understand, Marcy has brought a lot of her followers and stuff have come from her days as a cheerleader. Is that right, Marcy?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. So she kind of has a little bit of a different perspective on social media and how she's managed it all. We also have Yasmin Whitehurst. Yasmin is former Alabama State University stingette, and she is the current Miss Alabama State University. So if anybody followed her and watched her campaign, which had to be done 100% on social media because of the pandemic, then you understand that we want to hear everything that she has to say. Breland Hunt is Breland, are you a graduate or are you still there at Spelman?
I graduated 2018.
Yeah. Okay. So Breland is a graduate of Spelman College and has a large social media following. She danced with Mahogany Emotion dance team at Spelman. And if you go out and follow her and just kind of, look at how she's become an influencer on social media, it's really just amazing to me. So again, these are, and who we have. Oh, there she is. So our last panelist who just joined us is Miss Danielle Stamper. And you guys, I'm sure, remember Danielle from, she's a former captain for the Southern University Dancing Dolls. She's a clinician. She's been working camps and just everywhere, but again, also very prominent on social media. And I'm sure that we will be able to get a lot of good information from her as well. So what we like to do here in the association is please welcome everybody. And what we do, we get snaps. All right, so welcome, ladies. So I'm just gonna get the ball rolling here. First of all, can everybody hear me? Because I'm playing around with a microphone. So everybody can hear me? Yeah, cool. Great. All right. So we're gonna go by, and I'd like each young lady to give a brief introduction, and then just give me like just a statement about your journey on social media, how it started for you. Overall, do you think it was a good experience, bad experience? And just your general thoughts on that. But let's start with Asia.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Asia Martin. I'm a former ASU stingette captain. My journey on social media started when I was about a sophomore in college, so I had already been dancing for a year. I'll come back to that because there's a reason why I wasn't able to have a social media account my first year, but I've had it ever since then, and my journey has been positive for the most part. But of course, there are two sides to everything. So I'm looking forward to getting more into how we can better make this something that's positive and beneficial for our HBCU teams. Did I answer everything? You're muted. Can't hear you.
I think your phone's still on mute or your computer.
Breland, your turn.
Okay, so hey everybody, once again, my name is Breland, and I am a Spelman College graduate and a former member of Mahogany Emotion. And for me, I feel like my social media experience has been overwhelmingly positive, but of course there have been some negative sides to it. I think mainly because my social media career it has not always been focused on dance, but it soon became a part of it later on, as it just is a part of my journey. So I really got started with social media before I entered college, because for those of you guys who don't know, I have a YouTube channel, Beauty and Brains, go subscribe. And on my YouTube channel, I vlogged me coming into college and me auditioning for the team several years until I finally made it. So really the people who follow me definitely are following me because they know and they love me and they're along with my journey. And that's why I've been able to continue it on beyond dancing at college. So that's my social media journey.
Great, thank you. Okay, Marcy.
Hi everyone, my name is Marciana Lawson. I'm the current captain of Golden Delight at North Carolina A&T. My social media journey has probably been a different than the most, like you said. I started getting most of my followers from competitive cheerleading. I all-star cheered from the time I was 14 to the time I graduated, and then I just switched to dance. So when I was 15, I decided to move to California to do my big cheer thing, and I moved with a teammate out there. I left my family, and that's where I got most of my following off like a YouTube show, kind of like the Netflix show Cheer, but it was on YouTube at the time. So I think from that year, went from like 900 followers to like 20, 30,000 at the age of 15. So it was very different for me, and I had to get used to it over time. But I think as I've gotten older, it's really been a positive thing. It's something that I'm really blessed to have. But thank you guys for having me today, by the way.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, Yasmin.
Hello, everyone. My name is Yasmin Whitehurst, and I'm a former Stingate captain, and I currently serve as Miss ASU of the Alabama State University. My social media journey started when I was in high school. I started a hair page. I do hair. I make wigs. It's not me. But I started probably my 10th grade year, and that was kind of weird for me because it wasn't really popular back then. You know, Facebook was more of the wave when I was in high school. But I still kind of started with Instagram because I saw it as an opportunity to promote myself. And I knew that it was a new medium for everybody to kind of come to and just engage with each other. So I looked at it as more of a marketing opportunity. And then I started my own personal page. And that kind of just grew as I continued to build a relationship with my followers. They followed me from my journey from LSU to Southern to ASU. So, you know, I still to this day, I go live with my followers. You know, I make sure I'm really active with them because they have been supporting me for all of this time from every step of the way. So that's what I look at social media as. And it's been up and down, like everybody said, but it definitely has its positives. So I'm looking forward to building more of a stature on social media as well.
Okay, thank you. And Danielle.
Hello, everyone. I'm Danielle Stamper. I was a Southern University dancing doll from 2013 to 2017. I've always had like a social media, mostly like MySpace and Facebook. It wasn't until like 2014 when social media for me became like popping, if that makes any sense. Like, I feel like that was like a big social media era when it came to Southern University dancing dolls. And it really went from not really having so many followers at all and not really having so much attention, just everything strictly like, you know, dance. I'm in college, it's my first year, to everybody knowing who you were, everybody following you, everybody's trying to know, like, you know, personal things about you when it comes to your social media. So it really went from really like little to no attention to like so much attention, like in a matter of months. Social media does have its pros and cons, just like what everybody else was saying. On my journey, I would say that I've had mostly not so good commentary from, you know, followers over the years. But at the end of the day, social media is like a very, very good marketing tool, regardless of anything else that, you know, transpires on social media. But just like Asia said, I really want to like open the outlet of social media to become a positive, more positive thing when it comes to HBCU dancers. Yeah.
Cool.
That's all.
Cool. Thank you. Oh, and I also want to mention, guys, that if you have questions, we're going to open it up towards the end of the session for questions that you may have for our panelists. And so you can jot them down and save them for later, or you can put them in the chat and we'll go through, or go ahead and put them in the chat and I'll go through and I'll try to answer as many. We'll try to get as many as possible answered toward the end. Okay. All right. Okay. So let's really dig in here. So what are some of the good things that have happened to you because of your presence on social media, and be specific? Let's start with Breland.
So definitely for me, I would say that my social media is a great source of income. So because I don't necessarily consider myself an influencer per se, but I do understand that I have influence on social media and I leverage that to make a lot of money. So that's really great for me. As far as YouTube, I make a lot of money from that, and then also on Instagram. So that's one of the things.
Do you monetize your YouTube channel?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm not familiar with how to do it on Instagram. You may have to do a little quickie workshop on that, because I'm not sure how to do that. And the fact that my cousin and I are trying to be silly on social media, we might need that.
Absolutely. It's like brand sponsorship. So for me, because I'm like very like lifestyle and also medicine focused, and throughout like my entire brand is beauty and brain. So everything that has to do with like college stuff, graduate school, on my way to medical school. So there's a lot of different brands that can hone in on that and then basically promote their stuff on my platform. So that's how I'm able to use my platform to make money.
Oh, cool. Cool. Okay. Asia, what about you?
Could you repeat the question, Sean? Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I was just saying, be specific, but what are some of the good things that have happened to you as a result of your presence on social media?
Okay. So first of all, I have the job that I have now because of social media. So that's been a blessing. Kind of just having people know who you are before you even enter a room. So for instance, with the job that I have now, somebody reached out to me and let me know, like, okay, Douglas High School is getting a dance program and we'd love for you to be the teacher. So can you come and interview for this position? We've seen you on YouTube and, you know, like, I'm a big fan and I think you would be great. Just based on what I've seen during your tenure, I just think that it seems like you would be a great candidate for this position. So Instagram and social media is a great source of just exposure. And it has always been that for me, I'd say, even with auditions. So at a time in my life, I was into commercial dance. So with auditions and things like that, it's sometimes not so much what you know, but who you know and who knows you. Mm-hmm. So just always maintaining that very high decorum on social media and throughout my performance, as I being recorded on YouTube, putting out a positive image for myself has really come in handy with excelling in my career field of choice.
Okay. Cool. Yasmin, you?
So there's three main things that have really, really made my time on social media worthwhile. And the first thing is me coming to ASU. I initially did a Sting It challenge. Like I said, I went to Southern before I went to ASU and LSU before that. But when I was at Southern, I did a video, and the Stingettes were having a challenge at the time. It was Turkey Day Classic time. It was actually a video of Asia, and I was just like, oh yeah, I need to do that. I don't know who she is. I don't know what the school is, but I need to join this challenge because the style really resonates with me. So I did the video, I posted it, and it just kind of went viral from there. And everybody was like, you should go to ASU, you should try out for Stingettes. And in my head, I was like, oh, that's not going to happen. But my social media community and even Ms. Williams, they were really, really, really encouraging me to come over to ASU and just try it. And I think that's one thing that has definitely changed my entire course of life. I was planning on graduating the year after that, but I transferred and now I'm on my 4th year at ASU. And I don't regret a second of it. So I definitely think that was a big moment for me from social media. And just from there, as I continued to build my platform, it gave me the opportunity to just connect with so many people. Just networking wise, just being able to just meet other people who I probably wouldn't have met if I weren't on social media or if I hadn't posted that one thing. And then it's just when people are able to tell me like, yes, that really motivated me, what you just posted, or yes, I really love the video that you just did, or, I love that you come here and you talk to people. Like I really like to be able to help people out and just impact as many lives as possible. And I think social media really gives me that avenue to do that.
So I'd like to know, when you guys were on your teams, when you were actively dancing, did one, were you allowed to have a social media presence while you were dancing? And 2, did that help or hurt your team in any particular way? Marcy, what about you?
So I am currently on Golden Delight. As I said, I serve as head captain right now. Freshman year, for the beginning of the season, we aren't allowed to be on social media to post personal things, but we are allowed to engage and post stuff relating to bands so that people still know, we're good, just come support, And I think that's more of a focus thing, because with Golden Delight, we're not just dancing the stands or dancing on the field. We're twirling flag, twirling baton. We're literally in the whole show the entire time. We practice from the time we get out of class to maybe 11 p.m. at night. So for me, it helped me focus and it helped me understand, why are you here? You're here for your academics and you're here to be in the band. So for me, it was helpful. But as far as guidelines, they still let us have our individuality on our social media pages. You're not going to go to our page and see clean cut, everybody's posting the same thing, but we understand the brand, we understand the image, and we understand what we're a part of, and that it's bigger than us. And I think because that's instilled in us, it's not a problem for anyone on the team, because we want to bring positivity to the brand that we work hard for. So for me, I've had I've learned to focus and direct the platform that I do have in a way that makes sense and works for me, if that makes sense.
That's an interesting point that you make about the brand and knowing the brand and protecting the brand, even though your social media is your personal one. But at the end of the day, people still know, who you are and who you dance with. So it doesn't matter, because that's an argument that I've had with some of my team members, is like, well, they're like, this is my personal stuff, doesn't have anything to do with Foxes, and I'm like, no. You can't just shed being a Fox just because you switched over to a different social media handle. So that is a key point there. Danielle, what about you? Do you think your presence harmed your team, or did it do well for your team, or somewhere in the middle?
My first year, I wasn't on social media at all. It honestly, I feel like it helped the team more than harmed the team, or whatever. Just because it allowed me to focus on college and dance at the same time, and being able to maintain both, because it's a lot coming in as a freshman. I came in as a freshman, so it was a lot on me just to maintain school and also maintain dance, because there's a lot of material that you're learning inside being on the inside of Dancing Dolls, and then it was a lot with trying to maintain school as well. It was something new for me, so it really helped. I think over the years, I've seen the dolls separate their personal pages with the actual Dancing Doll page. I wish they would have implemented that back then when I was actually on the team, but I think that's really good that they're actually trying to separate Dancing Dolls from their personal lives. So when it comes to like posting anything Dancing Doll related, you know, they have their own Dancing Doll page. And when it comes to posting personal type of stuff, they're able to like put that page on private, and you're allowed to only, you know, show your personal life to a certain amount of people instead of like to the fans, to everybody. So and I think that's really helping the organization as a whole, because it's separating the girls. You know, their life doesn't revolve, well, it revolves around Dancing Dolls, but that's not all that they are. And it allows them to still be, you know, young women in college and also represent the organization in a positive light. So yeah, I think it's benefiting the organization more than anything.
Yasmin, what about you?
When I came in, I wasn't a true freshman, so I already was on Instagram, but it was kind of a switch, you know, no Instagram when you get on the team. So I think it helped us as far as my class, my sisters. It helped us a lot because, like everyone said, it helps you focus and realize why you're there. And it keeps just other people from trying to hone in on your business. Like, because you can slip up and post something about practice, or slip up and post something about the weekend or the field show or the hairstyle, you know, and then boom, everybody's talking about it. You know, this is the new thing. So I think it really separates our singette business or your dance team business from the world. But I believe it definitely helps more than hurts. You know, some people, of course, you know, feel like, you know, it could make you seem less approachable if you're not on social media, but you just kind of have to just remember who you're representing at that time, and that's more important at that time. But after that, after I finished my first year, you know, I came back on social media, and I really didn't even have time to engage with social media as much. So it really didn't make that big of a difference, still having the ability to be on it rather than not. So I think it's good how it is.
Okay. So let me have one more person. What about Asia? You agree?
You're on mute.
Okay, here we go. So yes, for sure, because as freshmen, like Danny was saying, you're adjusting to everything. Like you're adjusting to maybe being away from home for the first time. You're adjusting to college. You're adjusting to the expectations of your team. And you don't really know this person that you're expected to become. You're still kind of learning the ropes of what it is insert your team name, what it is that represents. So for you to just be given the freedom to just wow out and just post whatever you want, that is definitely, or could be, detrimental to yourself, number one, and detrimental to your brands. The thing I love about HBCU dance teams is that they're not only training you to be better dancers, but they're like mentorship programs. So I think that it's in everybody's best interest that at least, especially for that first year, that you're kind of like on the down low a little bit. So you have some time to really adjust. And then from there, maybe if the ground rules have been set and, you know, you have the right mindset to go out and, you know, be free, then that could be a conversation as well. So I'm open to no social media, and no social media the first year, and then having the freedom, just depending on the mindset of the dancers. You know? So
now, you know, that's a good segue into my next question, which is, you know, do you think there should be rules, or does your team currently have rules? And are you for those rules, or you think it's overkill? And don't be afraid to say so, Marcy.
I knew you were going to pick on me, but So I don't think we have like rules. It's not like you can or can't post this, or it's just, I think our rule is if the Golden Delight page wouldn't feel comfortable posting what you posted on your page, then you don't need to post it either. So it's not like you can't do this, you can't have this song, but we know if it's risky, don't post it. Like, that's just, I think that's what I abide by. And it does get hard because sometimes you just want to be like, but is it? And it's just like, I'm not gonna do it because like Asia said, it's built on a legacy. Like, whatever you're in collegiate wise has been there years before you, and for you to come in and not uphold the standard, that says more about you than it does the brand. So for me, I take Golden Delight in my personal brand very seriously. I know there's a life outside of dance, outside of cheer, outside of college, and I don't know what job I want to apply for. I don't know if I want to be president one day. You just don't know. You don't know who you're gonna meet. You don't know who's gonna see it. So personally, and for the brand of the team, we are just very aware of what we post, but it's no set ground rules as like, you can't do this, you can't do this. It's just what's instilled in us to know right from wrong.
Mm-hmm. But one of the things, well, I'm going to comment on two things in particular. One is that high school dancers are coming with, and some of you can attest to, are coming with established social media pages and social media followings. So I can't even begin to tell you the moaning and groaning that I heard when it was like, what do you mean a social media fast? What do you mean we can't be on social media? Right? So there, yeah, so there was that conversation. But do you really think that it is a good idea, especially for freshmen coming in, to kind of not be on social media that much until they get their bearings? Or, what are your feelings on that? Or do you think we should just kind of look at them independently and make a decision?
I can speak to that. I just went, but I think for me, because like I said, I had more followers when I came in than I actually do now. I lost a good amount of followers just because cheerleaders are like, oh, she's going to dance, we good, So for me, when I had all these followers and sponsorships and stuff that I was not getting paid for, but that's important when you are already on social media. It can be seen as like, oh my gosh, like it's going to be a year without social media, but I think you have to get back to the root of what's important. And if you're doing this for your social media, if you're posting your everyday life because you need the validation of others, you need to refocus what your reason is and what your why is to even be there. So I think once I kind of put my head down, like, Marcy, it's a year, you've been on it for 10, you'll be okay. Like, I don't think it should be more seen as a necessity. I understand where some people come from. Like Bree said, she's making money off her YouTube. So someone like that, it could be a little threat, but I think it's good to back down and realize like where your rooting is in your foundation without social media.
Yeah, and to touch on that, I would definitely say, because even though so we had basically 2 breaks. When we first made the team, we were put on a social media hiatus, like we couldn't go directly afterwards. And I struggled to make that team. So I was like, I want everybody to know, I really wanted to post about it. And I think that was a smart decision the first time, because everybody wants to know who the new girls are. Everybody's immediately going to be going on your pages. And I've seen people or teams immediately after you make the team, your page needs to go on private and then let things slow down. And I even believe that's a good idea. I mean, people are going to end up finding you, but that's a good first step. And then afterwards, over the summertime, we were able to be on social media. And then again, when we came back for the fall, again, for me, that was my senior year. I had been growing my social media following throughout college. And so my first thing was, how am I supposed to make money if I cannot post? But I still agree with it. I think that it was a great decision, because you will never fully know what it entails to be a member of your team until you are fully invested in being a member of your team. And so I would have made a lot of mistakes. I would have been kicked. I would have done a lot of things wrong if I had social media. It's when you have people watching you, it's a bigger impact if you make a mistake. There's more eyes watching you. And so during your rookie year, you're going to be making mistakes. So it's better if it's done behind closed doors. And again, I definitely agree with everybody saying where you don't know exactly what's wrong, or even if you do know, because we also do have rules, you don't fully understand why those rules are in place. So sometimes you need for things to happen and for you to go through a season or for you to go through a period of time underneath those rules, and then you say, now I see, like, if this would have happened, if I was on social media, I would have posted this, I would have shown this. So yeah, I definitely think that being off of social media, even if it's your income, it's a good idea.
And that's an interesting perspective, because we have had, especially recently, so many forces that are pulling our performers away from the whole team concept. Yeah, they're on the team, but it's really all about them. And so it's a battle that we fight all the time, about the whole social. Well, you let this person do this, and then but how come I can't do it? And so I'm glad to hear all of y'all's perspectives on this, because we got a lot of coaches on this call, and right now I know, myself included, because this is like my own little personal meeting that I'm having with y'all. I'm trying to decide, what our social media policy is going to be. I mean, we have one, but I'm trying to strengthen it a little bit. So this is all very, very, very good information. So let's get into the nitty gritty, because I think people need to know, what are some of the downsides of what are some of the negative things. And I want you to talk about it in regards to yourself personally, and also to the team, because it's like you said, when you're on a team, it's not just you impact the team. So yeah, go ahead, Breland.
Okay, so I'm going to try and say this quickly, but just to give you guys an understanding of my story, for those of you all who are not familiar with me, I had to audition 4 times before making Mahogany in Motion. And so for me, what I see social media as, especially in the AUC, so Morehouse and Clark Atlanta, is that it really felt like our schools were so small, and they were even smaller on social media. So I don't really know how else to explain when it, like, everybody doesn't come to the games. Everybody doesn't follow you on social media. Everybody doesn't even care that you are whatever dancer. But once your name is associated with certain things on social media, then conversation can build up from there. And so I say all that to say that for me, one of the worst social media experiences that I've had and related to dance was, there was a time where, mind you, I had not made the team yet. This was me in my junior year. And during winter break, everybody in HBCUs, they're bored and they're on Twitter, and there's always some type of like drama going on because people are just bored on social media. And there was this random page that somebody anonymous had made, and it was kind of like a Gossip Girl themed page. And they were posting, exposing just things about all different types of people. And anybody who had a name on campus was being exposed for random things. And I live my life out loud, so I didn't know what they were going to post, but I knew that a post about me was coming, just because my name is always in somebody's mouth on that campus. So I think everybody was kind of just like afraid, just because it was just such a, I don't know, it was such, like, think about Gossip Girl, and it was literally Gossip Girl in 2018, maybe that was, no, 2016. And so long story short, when I was waiting for what this post about me or just anything in regards to me was going to come up, it ended up being a picture of the current Mahogany in Motion dance team. And the caption was, I can't remember exactly what it said, but it was something along the lines of, like, isn't this a beautiful picture? Guess who's not in this picture, who never will be. You already know who she is, or something like that, something that it was very clearly alluding to the fact that I had, and I think it said something like 3rd time's the charm, right? Because when I auditioned, I said like 3rd time was the charm when I auditioned for my 3rd time and didn't make it. So it was something that was like very like, oh, because this page had thousands of followers, the entire school was watching it, and it was already an embarrassing thing for me. And one thing that I did not enjoy was having to go through this process of chasing after my dreams, chasing after something that I really wanted in front of other people. I wish that it was a closed process, but our process has very much so open. It's a live audition. You have a social media challenge, which I won every single year, every time I auditioned. And so every year I would literally post it on the Instagram. People knew that I was auditioning. I would post it on my own page. I would get people to come, posters of me everywhere. And then every year to not make the team, it was such like a big thing. At least it probably wasn't that big of a deal. But to me, it felt like it was such a big deal surrounding me and making this team. And I think that social media magnified that. It made it seem so much larger. Like this was something that everybody on campus was laughing about. It didn't end up being the case. Again, sometimes things are just bigger in your own head, especially when it's in regard to you. And at the end of the day, I ended up making the team and proving all my haters wrong. So that's really like my experience with social media, where I just felt like I never wanted to post that I was auditioning each year again, because I knew that there would be, and then even people who did not know me, but Breland, don't you know that they don't want you to be on the team? And, oh, I heard, and people, coming in your DMs thinking that they know you because you're opening up to them and you relate to them on social media, but they don't actually know you. They are not members of the team. They don't know what they're thinking. They're not Ray Ransom Coleman. They're not the coach making the decision. And so it was always a lot of ears and a lot of eyes on me making the team, which really impacted even my experience while I was on the team, because I had insecurity issues thinking that I wasn't good enough, because for so long I heard so many people tell me that I wasn't capable of making the team. So that's my social media experience with that.
Yeah. Danielle, what about you?
Okay. So, hold on. Trinian, can you cut that down? I can hear it echo. Sorry. Okay, so just like I stated before, I feel like I've had more bad experience than I have good experience when it comes to social media. Literally, to this day, I feel as though things are still being talked about when it came to my years as a Southern University dancing doll. Now, while I was a dancing doll, a current member, social media like literally impact the color I had my hair, how I wore my hair, how I did my makeup, like literally had me to a point where I didn't want to dance anymore. Like I was depressed. Because at the end of the day, you're an entertainer. Like this is my getaway from everything that I have going on in my personal life. And I'm just expressing my, everything that I'm going through in movement. So it kind of like put a barrier on who I was as a dancer. So, kind of put a barrier on who I was as a dancer. And when I became captain, that's when everything kind of.
Danielle, it's not you. Somebody needs to.
It's Jakira. Okay, she's on. she's on mute now. Go ahead.
Okay.
Now you're still on mute, Danny.
Danielle, you on mute. You're on mute.
Oh, I'm not back. Okay, I'm back. Hello. Y'all can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, awesome. So when I was just a member on the team, you really didn't get as much comments. People love you when you're just a member, I feel as though, through my own experience. But when I got captain in 2016, that's when everything turned for the worst. I had the same hair color when I was captain. Oh, now no one likes it. And of course, I was told not to read the comments. I think I was told that like from start to finish. And literally, you still read the comments. And I did read some of the comments, and it kind of put a dapper on my viewpoint of dance. Like, what is this really dance for what I know it? Like, I love this. And people don't understand that. The fans don't necessarily understand that. They only see it from the outside looking in. Me coming in and doing a fifth rip as a dancing doll was extremely rare. It's a rare thing doing a 50 year as a dancing doll. You only do 4 normally. I got injured in 2016. So me coming back was a big shocker to to the fan base of dancing dolls, because they're like, oh, no one ever did that before, which they have had dolls to do that before. It just hasn't been in recent years. And everybody loves mess. Like, let's just put it out there. Like, everybody loves mess. Everybody loves like what's going to be the talk, what's going to get people talking and stuff like that. And around audition time, that's it. That's what people wait on. Like, literally wait on the tweets, wait on the posts, they're waiting on posts right now, like from different HBCU teams. We don't even know we're going to even have a season because of COVID. And it's just like, I wish that social media was more so supportive of what we do as HBCU dancers, because we're just as talented as, I feel, just as talented as the professional dancers that are getting booked. And so literally, I woke up today to DMs and to screenshots of different stuff, and literally today. And I'm just like, dang, this was 3 years ago. And I'm just like, why is this still coming up? Why is it coming about and stuff like that? It's because people love mess, and people are going to go to what attracts them to wanting to talk about this, wanting to talk about that. No one has anything to do really right now because of COVID. So I feel like social media has been like popping lately. And yeah, that is kind of my viewpoint on a negative light, that social media has impacted my life. It really had turned me away from dance at one point, and I literally had to pick myself up from like ground zero and come back 10 times harder. My fifth rip, I didn't read no comments. I honestly didn't care about what people had to say. I just did my own thing to represent the organization in a positive light, regardless of all the negative that was coming from it. And that's basically that.
Yeah. Asia, what about you?
So, I'm trying to think. I've had a couple of bad experiences with social media. YouTube has been a problem for me as well. Like Danny said, the commentary, especially I feel like for SWAC teams, especially, is off the chain. They say anything that comes to their mind. They make up stories. Like, they'll have a whole group of people that have never met you thinking this totally different thing about you, and you're reading comments and you're like, that's not me. Like, that's not who I am. That's not what I'm about. But because, like she said, people love mess, like, it circulates and it continues to build. So with me, it wasn't even a situation where the fans or the commentators were talking about me specifically. But when you care so much about your brand, about your organization, about your former teammates, like, I'm gonna speak for myself, it makes me very mad when I see people like making up stuff about these people that, they're my family. Like, I spent years like growing and learning and making mistakes and getting to know these people. So to see people that don't even know them, like, talking about them negatively, it used to get me really upset. So there was one time they were talking about my little sister on the team. And I'm like, oh no, because I wasn't on the team at this point. So I'm like, it don't matter. I can do what I want. I'm grown. So I get on there and I'm like, basically saying like, don't make up stories and this isn't true, essentially. And from there it's like, well, that's why you didn't make Miss ASU. Da 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 da. Just crazy stuff. And from that moment, it was like, don't ask yourself why people are clowns. Ask yourself why you keep going to the circus. So at that point, it was like, these people, they're bent on entertainment. So that, to them, making up narratives is entertaining to them. So from that moment on, I learned to kind of just read it. You gonna read it. At least I always did. You read certain stuff and you kind of just have to build that thick skin as an HBCU dancer to know, like, if it's not true, it's just not true. Like, the people that know you are the people that know you. And the people that don't, sucks for them. Continue to, have fun making up your stories, but you can't let that get into you and bring you out of your character. And the second thing, it kind of piggybacks off of that. So just the manufactured beefs by the fans, they'll kind of pit teammates against each other when that's, again, not the case. And that causes tension within rehearsals and within the organization. So yeah, like I said, it's really important, especially that first year, that you kind of, not only are you training them in the style, but you're training them mentally to get ready for all that, because YouTube especially is a beast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a lot. And I still to this day don't think that people or even the people that audition for teams really understand what they're signing up for. And it is not of our doing. It's really not, because there is this narrative out there that we need these people who record us and take pictures of us and post them everywhere, that we need them for the exposure. Okay. And I have said to many of them, no, you need us. You need us. HBCU dance teams, HBCU color guard, HBCU bands have been around since 1900 and who knows when. And guess what? We're gonna be here even after COVID. We're not going anywhere. So we were representing our universities way before YouTube came around, way before Instagram came around. So there's always this, this perception. And I have people tell me that, we want to get you some exposure. I'm like, what do you mean you want to get me some exposure? I got some. I don't. It's every Saturday when we go out on that field. That's our exposure. We're doing what we're supposed to do. So yeah, that's why they don't like me too much. That's why tomorrow's discussion is going to be really fun. But yeah, that's good. Yasmin, you have anything to add?
I would just say I had a similar experience to Danny, coming in as the new girl. I was from Southern, so no one really knew who I was. And they're kind of just getting used to me and my style. I'd never done stingray style in my life, so I felt very uncomfortable. And they let it be known that I looked uncomfortable. I'm like, you don't have to really blast it like that. I kind of know what I look like. I watch the videos, we watch them together. But we kind of had to sit down as a team and kind of encourage each other, because even my year, they really didn't like Amber either. So we all had to encourage each other. Like, guys, let's not look at the comments. Let's not take it to heart. These are only people who are looking in at what we're doing, but they don't see the work that we're putting in inside the studio. They don't see us on the field sweating bullets every single night. They don't see us working hard on these field show routines, and they don't see the work that's being done behind the scenes. So I had to realize that. But then coming back the next year, I was named captain, and it's very rare that you have a freshman to captain situation. So that caused a lot of hate, and it honestly put me in this really negative mind space. Like, am I supposed to be here? Like, what, why did I even go for this position? Like, the people don't like me, and like Danny said, like, we are entertainers. So I was trying to make sure that I was doing what they wanted, but then I had to turn back and realize, especially with Ms. Williams telling me all the time, like, we are here to represent Stingettes and represent the Mighty Marching Hornets, and just to represent the band that we're a part of. We're not here to just provide everyone with what they want, because it's not about their legacy, it's about ours. So I really had to just take a step back. At some point, it took me a long time. It took me a really long time, like pretty much all season. You can even look in the videos and tell that I was beating myself up while I was dancing, thinking about a comment that I read last night, thinking about a movement that I did that I didn't like, but somebody else really magnified it and made it worse than what it was. So I think it really harbors on our mental health more so than anything. And it's just really hurtful to see people just talk bad about you and kind of paint this picture of you that that you're not. And still to this day, like Danny said, still to this day, people are holding conversations about, what this happened and what happened with this. And I know she was this. And it comes to me that, it's so many speculations and unknowns. And I was a part of it before I came, because I was trying to get the tea, reading the comments, trying to see what was going on, why people were missing, what's up, like. But getting on the team, it's like, this is a completely different story than what I was reading. Like, and these people will literally make their lives surrounded by this stuff, and it's all false stuff. So we just have to come back and remember, like, we are here on the team. This is our moment. This is our time to shine, you know, and this is our time to just make sure we're carrying on what we're supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm. Marcy?
For me, I don't have like too many negatives of like social media when it comes to going to light. I know this past year I had this red hair that I was kind of like already skeptical about, because I was like, I don't know. And my coach was like, no, it's fine. Like you got it, just wear it. And so over the season, you know, I see people on YouTube, like you just said, comment on the hair. And I think me being like a captain for the first time, I already have this vision in my head of like what goals I want to achieve with the team. I want us to be clean. I want us to be new and fresh. And then you see comments of people like, this is not a good season, or I can tell this, you know, it's just little things that slowly over time, it's like, okay, I don't care. But it does get to you, and it does start feeding what you're doing. So like, you're not making up stuff because you want to, you might just be making up because someone said that count wasn't hot that y'all did last week. But for me, I think I really have learned not to look at the negatives, because it was the same way for me in cheerleading. It got to the point where it just becomes so much pressure. And I already feel pressure like in general, because the sport and collegiate dance comes with this pressure in general. And you want to please your coaches, you want to please your team. And then you're captain on top of that. Then you're trying to worry about people, like she said, that don't even know what training you have put in. But I think once you learn to just ignore it, that's the best way to go about it. But I do think we need to change the positivity when it comes to social media, because you guys can't expect, not you guys, but fans and supporters can't expect us to perform at our best when they're not giving us, you know, their best self as well as fans and as supporters.
Okay. Sean, I just want to say that this
What?
conversation is reinforcing everything that we talked about in terms of how protective, because sometimes I think we feel like we're doing too much and we need to pull back. But the mental health and well-being of our girls is first and foremost over any fan and a perspective or comment. So this, hearing it from these people that I have watched dance and grow and that I respect say this, it reinforces it. And I'm still gonna be crazy about it. Thank you. That's all I had to say.
Yeah, it's one of those, it's one of those things that I have said that well, first of all, I didn't even want to get an Instagram account. They just harassed me. And I finally got one. And I said, you know, the first time there's any drama or negativity, I'm shutting it down, because I just, you know, I know how I can get. I'm in particular, I feel some kind of way about my girls. That's number one. That's number one. Okay, so, and when they get out there, it's hard for me. So what I did was I put together a clapback crew, and the clapback crew would swoop in and handle whoever was talking mess, you know? And yeah, and so then I didn't have to do it, and I didn't have to look bad. So, but yeah, I really didn't want to get it, but it is, I don't change. I stay where my belief. And you can say I'm old fashioned. Oh, Miss Shawn, that was so long ago. You danced a long time ago. Wasn't even social media. Blah 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 blah. Whatever. I'm not bending to that. And I'm sorry, but as long as you are, you know, I will do what I feel comfortable doing. Now we have grown over the years, and we have done a little bit more in regards to social media and things of that nature, and so we get to do a little bit more. And part of it is because, you know, now, you know, Foxes kind of have a following, whereas before we didn't. But I'm still very, I'm still not comfortable with it. I'm just not, you know? So, but that's good, because the last question I was going to ask, and then I'm going to go through and look if you guys have any specific questions. I see there's some in here. Go ahead and put them in the chat, and then I'll ask those. But I would like each of our panelists to one, just talk about you know, what can we learn from your experiences? What can we as coaches learn from your experience on social media? And you know, and any advice, I know because we have a lot of performers that are logged in right now, any advice that you would give them? Let's start with Asia.
Okay, so I would say I understand why young performers want to post pictures and, you know, talk about their experiences as HBCU dancers. It's exciting, you know, we want people to know, we want people to be proud of what we're doing. So I think it would be a good idea for coaches to come up with a certified outlet specifically for that their girls can freely post to, you know, obviously under the jurisdiction of the coordinator and, you know, the captain or whoever is in charge, but just give them a space where they can put themselves out there without defaming the brand. Because I think that when, and again, this is circumstantial depending on the girl, depending on the performer. Sometimes you can not make the best judgment. So I think with that in place, that will kind of alleviate a lot of the issues. And what was the second part of your question, Sean? I'm sorry.
I forget. What I say? Tiffany, what I say? Great.
I didn't remember.
Where y'all?
I think she said any advice to like performers, performers.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
What can we learn from your experience, which you just said, and then advice to the performers? Yeah.
So my advice, and I've said this before, when it comes to comments, you know, we're gonna read them. Even if, you know, people tell us, don't read them, you just can't resist. Because, you know, sometimes they be giving you your props. So you just be wanting to see sometimes. But if you do come across something that's like jarring or something that triggers something in you that makes you feel some type of way, that's when you fall back on your team. I think for me, back in 2012, I didn't really do that because I'm a very private person. So when I would read a comment that kind of made me feel some type of way, I almost was like embarrassed to come to my team or my sisters with it because, you know, it hurt me. And I didn't want them to know that somebody thought I was off my game, you know? So I think that it's important to build those relationships with your sisters where you are able to be comfortable coming to them and saying, you know, I saw this comment today and they said this, and I don't know if it's true or not, but like that really hurt me. Like that made me feel some type of way. Do you think that, you know, there's some truth to this, or, you know, what do you think? And they'll either say like, well, they kind of was doing the most, but I really think what they were getting at is that you can work on such and such and such and such. Or they'll say, no, that's not true. And I think just having that comfortable space that you can come to and be in community amongst your sisters is really important. So definitely utilize them.
Okay, cool. Yasmin, so what can we, the coaches, learn from your experience?
I would say kind of what Asia said. I don't think we should eliminate social media as a whole, but kind of give the girls an outlet, you know, so people can see who they are and what they are doing. One thing I like the McKinley Patherettes, shout out to Danny, they do individual highlights, and it's like I look forward to going to the page and seeing who's next and seeing what they do and where they're from and what their dance style is. And they do a lot of videos and things just showcasing each individual dancer or just the team as a whole. And I think that's a great outlet outside of just your personal page to just kind of show the people who, you know, who they are and kind of more of their personality. I would say definitely give them guidelines because someone mentioned earlier in the live, but this is about your personal brand as well as the organizational brand. So all of these things are stuff that I carried on throughout the years of college. And honestly, since I got those rules, I haven't changed at all. And I think it has benefited my social media presence so much. Just watching what you post. Like you don't really have to change what you do, but everything doesn't have to go to Instagram. Everything doesn't have to go to Snapchat. You just have to watch what you post and when you post it, how you post it, what you say. And I think it teaches you a good lesson about being able to present yourself, and not only on social media, but in person. So I would say that. And then just some other advice for any performers. I would just say, make sure you identify who you are, because somebody else will if you don't. So don't get on social media and expect for people to just give you all of this attention, and don't go seeking for that. It will come. That will come. But always be yourself. Always be yourself. Do not change who you are unless it's for the better. But just don't let yourself get caught up in the image. Don't get caught up in the talk and get caught up in the comments and stuff like that, because then you're going to get distracted from the actual goal. You're here to build the team and to build yourself, not to build your presence on social media, not to build social media clout. So don't come in with that idea at all. And I think if you think like that, you'll kind of take those comments less to heart. Because I think that's kind of why I took it to heart a little bit, because I saw that, certain girls had a little bit more attention, and I liked the attention that they were getting. So I wanted to seek that attention, but just don't even think about it. Like, just let it roll off your shoulder and you'll be good.
Mm-hmm. Cool. That's awesome. Breland.
Woo!
So, okay, I had to write it down so I wouldn't forget. Okay, so I would say for the coaches, advice that I would have for you all is to be in tune about what's going on social media. Similar to what Marcy said, as dancers, we look up to our coaches. And so we want to impress you all. And I think that I care more about what my coach and what my captain said than what, people on social media said. But it is something that was going on in the back of my mind. So if I had somebody who I looked up to and who I respected to solidify and validate my feelings and say, this may be going on, but know that you are a good dancer. Or if somebody always says, girl, you never point your toes. Hey, remember to point your toes. Or I know that you can point your toes. Hearing those things from somebody that you actually care about will not only help them to become a better dancer, but also build up their confidence. So that way, when they're hearing some things coming from one side, it's not only one-sided. So you have positive coming in from one side. And if you hear these criticisms coming in, you know that you're working towards it. And that would also be my advice for the dancers coming in, would be to work as hard as you possibly can and like genuinely work hard. When you're like, oh, I'm working hard, but you're really not. And when you are working hard, so that way when you receive criticism, it's like, okay, great. I was looking for something else to work on anyway, and not, oh my gosh, like I thought I was, like, you're not going to be a perfect dancer. People are always going to have things to say about you, but if you're working hard, you'll be willing to look for that next thing that you can better yourself as a dancer, and it won't necessarily affect you as much. When it comes to the drama and stuff, again, that stuff is outside. But for the coaches, I feel like you all can definitely be that source of light for the dancers and kind of object the things that they're hearing on social media.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Danielle?
So I want to say or maybe 2000, I don't know. But one year with Dancing Dolls, they started implementing a social media policy. And I actually have a social media policy for the Pantherettes. Even though they're high school, I get it, they're kids and all of that good stuff. But at the end of the day, they still have just as many positive, negative comments as a college team. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to kids, I know how it affected me as a college student. So I'm knowing it affects them like in a totally different light because they are kids. But when it comes to like what you post on social media, what you're able to post, even if I thought that maybe Datara might not be okay with this, but I'm still going to ask her anyway. And she'd be like, oh, girl, that's fine. But just keeping that line of communication open between you and your dancer so they know like, okay, yeah, what can possibly represent the organization or whatever. But I had like such a close relationship with Datara it was like, even if it's just a picture of me in regular clothes, I'm still going to post and be like, okay, is this okay to post? And she'd be like, oh, okay, yeah. But just keeping that line of communication open between the sponsor, the coach, sponsor, dancer, it goes a long way. even if that dancer is feeling some type of way because they are reading the comments, and what if they're not getting the support from their team? So it's different with getting the support from your coach or your sponsor when it comes to aspects of social media. So I don't think implementing a social media policy is bad. I think it's necessary because social media is not going to people are not going to use it less. People are going to more and more try to do this, try to do that and stuff, like when it comes to social media. So I think now it's just time for us to look at HBCU dancers in a different light because of all the attention that we're getting. So I would say that that's probably something that you can possibly implement. And
advice to the performers.
Advice to the performers. If there's any like dancers that are on teams right now, then building relationships with your team members so they can be there for you. I was on a team one year where I didn't feel like my team had my back when it came to certain things that I was reading. And just like Asia was saying, I wasn't really comfortable with like going to them. So just making sure that we have that sisterhood, like everybody preach sisterhood, but sometimes it really don't be that. And so just making sure that you're bonding with your team. And what we use this saying called water off a duck's back. And literally that's what you have to take every negative or sometimes even the positive things. Just water off a duck's back. Like you're not worried about it. You know, you take it with a grain of salt. At the end of the day, they can't take you off the team. They can't, they can't credit you as a dancer. At the end of the day, your coach, your sponsor, band director, whoever placed you in that position for a reason. And just because they're fans and you are an entertainer, that doesn't mean that you're only entertaining them. You're only doing it for them. You're doing it for yourself first. And I was trying to write down little stuff. Oh, and that's it. That's all. That's
good stuff. That's good stuff. Marcy?
Okay, yes. So for me, the advice that I would have for coaches or coordinators, something that we do on Golden Delight, before we even start dancing, we have what we call Versatility University, Sweetheart Academy. It changes every year. And so before we even start dancing, we literally sit down with our coaches. We go through like a whole seminar. It's like months long. And we're like looking at PowerPoints. It'll be discussions, projects, homework assignments. And it's literally just about what the brand is, what the expectations are for the year, image, how to be a better woman, how to be confident, what are the essential attributes to be in a woman, and this, that, and the third. It's literally like not even about dancing. So I think with that, because that's been instilled in us and ingrained into us and we're learning it from the jump, it's so much easier to know how to go about social media, because I can't say I don't know what the expectations are. It's not like no one told me. I know what it takes to be on the team. I know what's expected of me. So I think that's what really helps our team deal with like not really social media drama, because from June until the season's over, vets, rookies, everyone is sitting at the table with a binder, a clipboard, pens, the same, like we're really getting told like, this is what I expect as Golden Delight. Is this appropriate? Look at this picture, yes or no? Could you post this, yes or no? And be honest, like, do you think that's what is allowable? And we go through and it's just like trained in our minds to not only for Golden Delight, but in the real world. So I think that could be something that you guys can instill other coaches, because like I said, it's about style, field shows, understanding what the vocabulary of band is. It's not just imaging, but a lot of it is about the brand. So yeah, and then advice for the performers. I said make social media a perk and not your driving force. So like what my coach said to me that stuck with me since my freshman year is, you need to be so undeniable that people have nothing to say about you. And I'm not gonna say like, oh, they're not going to, but if you're so good, if you're so driven, if you're not giving them a reason to talk, whatever they say is not even validated because it's not true. So you need to be undeniable at your craft, undeniable at your academics. And as long as you're making yourself happy, I mean, the 30,000 followers and stuff, that's just a perk. It's not what makes you, and it's not what defines you.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Ray and Tiffany, y'all need to get together on that. I know it's like a little private joke, but we're working on like programs, and we want to do a leadership academy and all this other stuff that we want to do. And I'm hearing about what you guys are doing for Golden Delight, and I'm like, yeah, get that. Okay. All right. So let me see. I'm not gonna be able to get all the questions, guys, but I'm gonna go through and pull out some questions here. Let's see. From Grace, what are your thoughts on young girls using their Instagram lives as their platforms? Because I have been on some and the comments have been really rude. And anybody can jump in and answer that,
I would say it's as good as you make it. Your social media presence kind of is directed by you. So you kind of keep the energy that you want. You can literally block people or remove them from your live if they're saying things that are negative, or if they're, keeping up drama. And I know when I go live, I make sure that they know this is a positive space. This is non-judgmental. If I'm bringing people on and they're dancing, don't talk about anybody because you will be removed. And that's another thing that I was going to add to some advice that might be for tomorrow more so. But we now have a feature where you can turn comments off. Like, we might want to look into that to kind of request from the videographers that, hey, when you post this, just don't even let comments arise, because that can just bring so much extra stuff. But if it's out of sight, it's out of mind, and they can just talk about it amongst themselves. But I would say it's not necessarily a bad thing, but you just have to be careful with what you're doing on Instagram Live, because it can be recorded and people will take it and they will post it. They do it to me all the time because I be on there acting crazy sometimes, but just make sure you're doing it at your own discretion.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's see. What are some good social media policies you think should be put in place for a team? And for those of you, especially my coaches who already have really good, strong social media policies, please share.
Well, I can speak for me, kind of like as a coach, and even when I was a dancing doll, nothing can be posted without my consent. And the Panthers, like, I understand that they be wanting to post and stuff like that. And I understand, like, in college world, they be wanting to post whatever they want to post and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, nothing can be posted unless I consent. And that's just that. I don't care if it's, I don't care if it's a dance challenge video, just send it to me. And I'll just be like, okay, yeah, go ahead, post it, or you can go ahead and record it, or whatever the case may be. It's just getting them trained for what's to come after, because everything that you post on social media, once you get in the adult world and become a dancer in college or whatever you decide to do, like, everything will follow you. Mm-hmm. And you'll always have somebody to answer to. Mm-hmm. So just get in the go of that now. Like, I really try to instill in them the things that they would need to know from after they graduate high school. And sometimes you don't want to be under those restrictions because you're young and you're like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. And it's just like, no, because at the end of the day, you represent not only yourself, you represent the organization as well. And the Panther page have more followers than me. So it's just like, at the end of the day, and then they're kids. So just make sure you run it by me first. So I would definitely say, like, nothing can be posted unless it's my consent. I don't care if it's a picture of you and your boo. I don't like none of that stuff either. And that was actually a rule that the coach before me, LaShawn, had implemented with the girls, because you want to represent yourself in the best light. And being all hugged up and all booed up is sometimes not even okay in your adult life. Sometimes keeping your personal life to yourself is the best way to go when it comes to social media. So, yeah.
Anybody else got any good policies out there?
Back off what Danny said. I think, especially as it concerns your team's name, your university name, anything in reference to that, I say is a no-go. If I had the choice, if I had a team, that's what I would say, because you can't speak for the organization. Your beliefs and values don't represent the organization per se. So as it concerns things of that nature, I say just stay away from it. I've seen a lot of girls, like we love to throw counts, for instance, like on Instagram Live. And I don't think that's an issue, but for me, it's an issue when people who are not on the team or former members of the team have on paraphernalia, or they have their team's name plastered across their chest and they're, you know, doing stuff. Maybe it counts, maybe it's other stuff, you know? So I just say when it comes to that, that should be something that's set. Like, don't post anything with our name on it, because, you know, it's not, you're a part of this, but you're not this. Right. Unless, you know, I'm, you know, putting something out there as the band director or the choreographer or the coordinator, captain. Unless I'm putting it out there or somebody in one of those roles, then I say it's best to stay away from it. That would alleviate a lot of drama. Yeah, and I'll leave it at that. A lot of drama.
Anybody else? One more. Anybody else got a good policy?
I think just topping it off, some of the small, well, they seem small now, but maybe at the time, if it's not something that you're familiar with, some social media rules that we have are no cursing and no drugs and alcohol. That stuff can seem like, especially when you're a college student, everybody's always, but just, I think that it really shows a clean, well put together young woman when those things are, again, redacted from you as a personal brand and as a representative of the brand. So I think those are things that a lot of times people forget to redact, even like on your captions, if you're quoting song lyrics, they need to be clean. Everything just needs to be clean.
Okay, cool. All right, let's go to the next question. Yasmin mentioned being approachable. I would like to hear from the ladies about how they view being approachable and what their fan interaction looks like. What does your fan interaction look like? Go ahead, Marcy.
I know for me, when it comes to Golden Delight, a lot of people, especially from the cheerleading world, because in that industry, you're so like caught up in that, you don't understand that there's other things to do. So I think me switching was like a big deal. So a lot of cheerleaders are like, oh, I want to go to HBCU. Is it easy to transition from dance? Like they think it's just so quick and easy, but I make it a point to reply to anyone that reaches out to me regarding Golden Delight. Like if you have a question about auditions, I go through all of my messages like weekly to make sure that I am a part of that, not recruitment, but just making sure I'm spreading the knowledge and letting people understand like, yes, you can do it. You can do anything you want to do as long as you work hard, because I did it. So I think for me, I make sure if it comes to Golden Delight, I just feel like it's my duty as captain to not only pass the torch to other leaders behind me that I have to leave on the team, but also making sure I'm opening the door for other people who might be too scared to ask. So even on campus, like a lot of people don't recognize us because game day, we just look so different. So people are like, you're Golden Delight, you've been in my class the whole time. I'm like, yeah, but like, I always make sure, even on campus, it's not just about social media. You need to represent the band. We are the sweethearts. We're not these people that walk up with our nose in the air like we're too good. Like, you represent the brand and you need to make sure that you're approachable as Golden Delight. So I always make sure I'm approachable on campus and on social media.
Yasmin.
Just to piggyback off Marcy, I do agree it is very important to maintain approachability and making sure that you're kind of personable with your fan base, just because you don't want people to get an idea that you're just, you know, like you said, too good for them, or you're too elite to talk to your fans and they're just fans. But these are the people who, you know, are supporting you. And I believe as far as my supporters, like they are a big part of the reason why I'm where I am, from dance to Miss ASU. So I make sure every single time, and even to this day, my DMs are always flooded with all types of stuff, especially being the queen now. They're asking me about a lot of school related things, and this dance related things is always going to be Sing It. But I just think it's very important that I maintain that relationship with them so that they know that I'm a reliable source of just advice and counsel and just some sort of motivation. I love motivating people and encouraging people. And to this day, it has changed so many people's lives, like even brought them to ASU, just like somebody else brought me to ASU. So I make it my point to make sure I, touch as many people as I can. So I can't do that if I'm not interacting with my supporters and fans, if you want to call them that. So I think it's very important that we all make sure we just stay connected with each other. That's the point of social media, is to connect with other people. So if you remove that connection aspect, then it kind of defeats the purpose. And on campus, that's definitely on campus. I love people, so always be out, always talk.
Here's two questions that are related. Was it hard being on a team with someone with a large following fan base? Did egos play a role? Have there ever been problems between your teammates and social media? So have there ever been problems like that? What about Asia?
Not for me personally. No.
Danny?
I could say that I did have a problem with the team and social media regarding material. It's something so small as who made up this, who made up that. I feel once you teach a count or anything, is no longer yours. It's the organization's count. And so it became a thing where the fan is asking, who made up this count? Who made up this count? And and it became a problem with getting credit. And I just feel like if you're looking for credit because of something that you bring to the organization, then you could have done that without the organization, if that makes any sense. And that's just my viewpoint, and that's just a problem that happened when I was actually on the team. Just the whole point of the fans knowing who made up this and who made up that, and you're getting your credit. But I feel like everybody didn't make this team when they auditioned, so that is your credit. You're here, So just things like that, just being appreciative of just being inside the room, just being there on the team, opposed to what the fans can bring out and cause problems inside the room when it comes to something so small. So that was my only thing, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. I want to know if collegiate coaches sponsors screen out prospective new members based on their social media presence, and if so, what do they hate to see?
I'm sorry, Sean, can I add to that last question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Asia kind of touched on this earlier about how comments can kind of turn teammates against each other. And I think that's something that we have to pay close attention to, because of course, if we're all reading the comments and they're always comparing people, they're always saying, oh, she's better, or she's better. I like the way she does this count, and she needs to be in the front, and she shouldn't be on the back row. We cannot allow that energy to come into the practice room, because that's when you'll start to feel a big head, or you'll start to feel a small head, or you'll start to feel like, oh, I need to do this, or I need to be there because this is what the comment said. I think as a team and as coaches, we have to control that energy and make sure we're keeping it in the team. Like, don't bring the comment section to practice, because that's not what we really are.
I like that. Let me write that down. Somebody write that down. Don't bring the comment section to practice.
And let me throw my 2 cents in. Hey, everybody. I'm Bridget Williams. I'm former Stingate coach, captain. The one thing I love about, can y'all hear me? Okay. The one thing I love about listening to everything all the beautiful young ladies have said is that these are the things that we as coaches have been pushing for you all to realize from freshman year on up. It's like you have a different aspect of the whole thing. The one thing when I realized social media was serious, at least for the Stingettes, we used to have people who hid in bushes to see who made our team. And this is what, 4 o'clock in the morning, they're hiding out in the bushes. And so something must be done. I'm hated a lot in the comments, but if you know me, you know I don't care. And it's because one comment was, but when Yasmin was saying about the energy, was that we have a way of placing the girls in the stands based off energy, given because all counts aren't easy to learn at one time. It takes them a while to get into the groove. So we position them in different locations in the stands. Fans, she don't need to do that. She don't know what she's doing. Why she putting on right there? She can't do it. And I'm sitting here like, you're not the expert. I mean, I'm with them all the time, and I know what works. And so when you're utilizing the energy of the girls, we never had time. Like when we come to practice, we start practice on time all the way to the end. We have to remember to even let them get water breaks. Like that's a joke. But we really have to remember to get water breaks, because if not, we'll grind so much. So it's important for us not to have lemon squeezes. At least for me, I never wanted that energy in practice, because it always makes their motivation go down to hear about you did this and you did that, and to play the blame game. So it's more so like, as a coach, you have to be didactic on what you will and won't allow and during the practice time. And for me, I felt like practice should be about practice. And so I love how we instilled with them like a schedule. Like I used to ask Asia, okay, what you gonna do today? And she was like, we're gonna do stands at this time and work on the field show right here. We're gonna work on parades. We're gonna do technique right here. So they always had a schedule of what they wanted to work on, and they knew what the time frame was to get it done. So if they were bombarded with comments, it is counterproductive, because I know they'll sit down and whatever the field show is. And I love how Yasmin and Asia would say, when they go down the road, what do you think you need? What do you think your strengths was this game? What do you think you need to work on and improve this game? And for them to see it. And even though the comments are there, they were always encouraging them. I know people say certain things, but you don't have to listen to that. You be Asia used to say, be your own legendary. Yasmin used to always say, trust the process. So it was one of those, like, you have to step back and be like, okay, they listen. They're listening and taking it in. But yeah, that energy is so important, because if you start practice with lemon squeezes and you did that and pick it just, to me, seems like it just drains them. And so yeah, that's all I want to say.
Real good information, real good advice. So in regards to whether we screen people in regards to social media, I will say that me personally, I don't initially, but once you get like right now, because of COVID, we have finalists. We haven't picked our final team yet. And social media, I did get everybody's social media handle so that I can go take a look-see. But I also give them time to go and clean it up. So I more or less take it from a perspective of me counseling them on what should and shouldn't be there. And it's more of an education type thing. I don't necessarily use it at that time to cancel out, because during the audition process, it's just too much going on. I don't have time to go look at everybody's social media, unfortunately. So, yeah. Any other coach want to?
I will say, not in the early stages, but once we get it narrowed down, we do have a staff member who happily agrees to assist us with that. And while you are in the next room working through your combo as a finalist, somebody is looking at your social media. And so it's a hybrid kind of what Sean is saying. It is educational, it is informative, but I will be totally transparent. If it comes down to it, and we have these 20-something slots, and you have your middle finger up, you cussing, you drinking, like if it's like, okay, that picture's a little bit inappropriate, it won't be that. But your social media, at least these days, is a complete reflection of who you are and what you value. And so what I've tried to do over the years is bring in people who somewhat are already aligned with what the attributes are, because it's not as much of a stretch to get you there versus bringing someone in, which we've done, that I can look at that social media, or I've had this interaction, or through your interview, or how we determined a loose idea of your character, and it's not aligned, it's so much more difficult to bring you on board. You know, we talked about, are people resistant to the social media policy? Like, do we have these issues? And it tends to come from the ones who my gut told me, from what I saw, she's an incredible dancer, incredible performer. Here, we're not there yet. And so I will cut you based on that. But it's not, again, it's not this one little picture or this one little thing. There's a trend. If there's a thing that we see in your social media that says you are not prepared for the discipline that's going to be involved here, yada, 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 I will not select you. Yes.
Well, everyone, I think, you know, we could be on here all night and continue this conversation. And one day, we are going to be face to face in our first in-person conference. And so these are the kinds of topics that will be discussed, will continue to be discussed, because the whole landscape of social media is going to continue to grow and change. It's already starting to change. So, you know, these are the types of things that we try to help everybody out. And again, like I said, we're not here just for the coaches and the directors, even though this is our association, but we are definitely here for the performers as well. And that's dance and color guard and, majorettes. So I don't want anyone to feel like, you know, just because they're not a dancer or on the dance line, that there's not something here for them, because there is. So I am going to just remind you guys that tomorrow's session is at the same time. Our panelists tomorrow are Trinity of Trinian Winbush of Trinity Productions, Gerard Howard of marchingsport.com, David Norman of Bandtube, Ricky Garza, Zimbalistic, and Demeridge. I forget his real name, but yeah, he's gonna be on here as well. And so that's gonna be a really interesting discussion. We want to keep it positive and uplifted and everything, but I just think, again, with the changing landscape of how things are changing, it could be either a good thing or it could be a bad thing, and we control that. We do. It's sometimes we forget who's in charge. We are. So so I think that's going to be a good discussion tomorrow. So I had the young ladies, our panelists, put their Instagram handles in the chat, so you can go up there and see if you want to follow them, or if you have other questions that we didn't get a chance to answer here. And of course, you guys know how to get at me, either by the association Instagram or on my personal Instagram. You're going to ask, like, what is Sean Letha? It's SHAWN_LETHA, and Sean Letha is the one that cusses. So so that's what I tell people when they ask me, what does Sean Letha mean? That's what it means. Sean Letha is the one that cusses. So so my panelists, thank you so much. Could not have done this without you. Everybody give them a clap, give them some snaps and all of that. It was just awesome. Thank you so much. Please, everyone, be safe out there. And
John, I just want to tell them that I was already impressed with them from afar, way over North Carolina. And I'm even more impressed with the 5 of these young ladies now. Continue to represent your schools and your brands.
Yes.
Awesome job.
Yes, absolutely. And I think you guys are just such awesome representatives for what we can be, for what our performers can be. Because, one of the things that bothers me sometimes is that we have some of our people who are stuck on the college thing. You know, and don't get me wrong, HBCU dance and HBCU color guard is awesome. It is awesome, but it is so not the only thing you can do. It is so not the only. What you're doing now is a springboard to all the other things that you're gonna do. Back in February, right before we got locked down, went to New York, went to see Tina, the show about Tina Turner's life. And I said it, and I turned to my sister and I said, I got 20 girls back home in Prairie View, Texas, that can do exactly what those girls are doing on that stage right now. So your doors are just wide open. Just use your social media properly, because as quickly as it can bring you up, it can also bring you down. Cool. That's all I got to say about that. So anyway, everybody have a great evening. And thank you so much. And hopefully I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Bye.
Have a great night.